Welcome to lecture 37. So in the last class we have started with the single tune circuit, and there we have seen that in order to design the single tune circuit you have to put the values of RLC in such a way that you should get the complex conjugate a pair of poles, right? Because to resonate it I need the condition that the roots or the pole location must have to be complex conjugate. Okay, and from that we have derived or we have obtained the equation for the maximum frequency, for which I will be getting the maximum magnitude, and which was omega m square was beta square minus alpha square, or I can write omega m will be equal to square root of beta square minus alpha square. Also we have expressed this omega m in terms of zeta and omega n and zeta, which was omega n into square root of 1 minus 2 zeta square. Okay, so let me analyze these two equations first. So what will happen if as we say that omega m square is beta square minus alpha square. Okay, so what will happen if the roots are, that is alpha is equal to beta? So in this situation what will happen? Omega m square will be equal to 0, means what? There will be picking, but picking will be at 0, omega is equal to 0. Okay, but there will, as such, there will not be picking at one particular frequency, but there will be maximum at omega is equal to 0. Okay, now what happened when beta is greater than alpha? So when beta is greater than alpha, then definitely I'll get it the maximum frequency, that is I'll get it some positive frequency. Okay, so this is valid. But what will happen if alpha is greater than beta? Okay, so in this case what will happen? The maximum frequency which omega m will get it negative, and which is of no interest for me. Okay, so in order to obtain the maximum magnitude at some frequency, what should be the case? My roots has to be complex conjugate. Okay, agreed. But again remember that the real component of your pole must have to be less than that of the imaginary component of the pole. Okay, so now next we will see that what can be done when omega, what can be done when your beta value will be greater than alpha. So this can be seen by drawing the magnitude response. So first let me draw the magnitude response for it. Okay, so suppose this is with omega, and say this is my magnitude response, say f. So what, let me draw it. How will be the response when for three conditions for the alpha and beta? So how will it be when your value of alpha is greater than beta? How will be the response when alpha is equal to beta? And how will be the response when beta is greater than alpha? Okay, so when alpha is greater than beta, then what will happen? So here when the real part is more than that of imaginary part, okay, then what will happen? Your omega m square was beta square minus alpha square. So we taken that alpha is greater than beta, so it means that there is no maxima at all. Okay, so no maxima at all. So how will it be? It will be like this. Something like this. Okay, now this is for alpha is greater than beta, so it means there is no maxima at all. So when alpha is greater than beta, alpha is less than beta, then what will happen? Then there will be omega m which is positive, and then we can see that there will be the peak, we can observe like this. Okay, and what happened when alpha is equal to beta? So when alpha is equal to beta, then what will happen? Then omega m is 0, so you will get it the maximum at omega is equal to 0, and it will monotonically decrease this way. Okay, so with this you can obtain the maximal flatness. So when alpha is equal to beta, so this kind of behavior is basically the behavior of low pass filter. Okay, and where this is for alpha is less than beta, and this is for alpha, sorry, this is not for alpha less than beta, this is for alpha greater than beta. I'm sorry, this is for alpha greater than beta, and this is for alpha less than beta. So from that we can observe that when beta is greater than alpha, then only there will be peaking observed. Right? And omega 1, we know that omega m, which has been expressed in terms of omega n into zeta, is 1 minus 2 zeta square. So now again let us check it here when omega m is positive, for which value of zeta. Okay, so again let me draw some conclusion from this also. Based on the value of zeta, what will be the value of omega m? Okay, so here look carefully. When 2 zeta square is less than 1, at that time what will happen? Then only I'll get it omega m is equal to positive. Okay, here also 3 conditions I can derive. Okay, so when zeta is equal to 0, then maximum frequency will be as good as your resonant frequency, which is of no interest for me. When 2 zeta square is less than 1, then only I'll get it some positive omega m, and at that time only the maxima exist there. So what will be zeta square? Zeta square has to be less than 1 by 2. I mean zeta has to be less than 1 by root 2. This is also one more condition to have the peak in the network. Okay, so when zeta is less than 1 by root 2, then there will be peaking. What will happen when omega m is equal to 0? So when omega m will be 0, when 2 zeta square will be equal to 1. Means what? When zeta square is equal to 1 by 2, at that time what will happen? Your omega m will be equal to 0. Means what? I'll get it the maximum at 0 frequency, and whose behavior is like your low pass filter, right? And again, if I'll say what will happen if 1 is less than 2 zeta square. Okay, so here zeta square is greater than 1 by 2, means zeta, if it is greater than 1 by root 2, then there is no peak at all, because it's of no existence of frequency. Okay, so let me draw again the magnitude response for various values of zeta. Okay, so this is for frequency, this is for magnitude response f. Magnitude at omega is equal to 0 is 1. Okay, so what will be when zeta is equal to 0? So when zeta is equal to 0, what will happen? Your response will be like the low pass filter response. Okay, so which is monotonically decreasing. Right? When zeta is greater than 2, then something like this, there is no maxima at all. But when zeta is less than 1 by root 2, this is for zeta greater than 1 by root 2, this is for zeta is equal to 1 by root 2, and let me draw for zeta greater than 1 by root 2. So at this situation you will get it like this response. Okay, so we can say that peaking will be there for zeta zeta less than 1 by root 2. So one more condition we have derived now in order to have the peaking, or in order to have the resonance, that roots has to be complex conjugate. Okay, I agreed, but again the condition is that to have a peak, your imaginary part of the root has to be greater than that of the real part of the root. This is one condition, and also zeta has to be less than 1 by root 2. This is also second condition in terms of zeta, you can say. So this is basically the condition, this is basically the condition for criticality in frequency domain. We have also seen the criticality condition in time domain for zeta. Okay, so basically what is it? When zeta is less than 1 by root 2, then there will be peak. Okay, means what? I will get it the positive slope. When zeta is equal to 1 by root 2, how is the behavior? There is no peak, but behavior will be like a low pass filter behavior. When zeta is greater than 1 by root 2, no peak at all. Okay, so these are the conditions for criticality in terms of zeta. Now similarly later, this is in frequency domain. Okay, and let me define in time domain also. So what was the condition? When zeta was greater than 1, then how was the response? The response was overdamped behavior. When zeta was equal to 1, then the response was critically damped response. When zeta was less than 1, then the response was underdamped response. And when zeta was equal to 0, then it was oscillatory, or let me write here undamped. Okay, undamped behavior. Fine. So this, let me visualize graphically also. So in order to see, or in order to visualize the graphically, let me construct the thing. So for the construction, let me draw first the complex pole, complex plane, S plane. Straight line should get okay. And suppose now this is my sigma part and this is my j omega part. Okay, so real part and imaginary part on this what we say that an S plane. Okay, now suppose I have the alpha and beta, where suppose assume that beta is greater than alpha, so the locations are somewhere here. So I can say that, yeah, beta here, beta is greater than alpha. Okay, so this is my alpha and this is j beta, this is minus j beta. Okay, now take it alpha as radius, sorry, alpha as center, take it alpha as center, beta as radius, and draw the circle. Okay, so if you draw the circle, what will happen? Beta, this has a radius, this has a center. If you draw the circle, you will get it something like this. Okay, so this, assume that it is a circle. Okay, so these are the pole locations. Okay, and for that alpha was center and beta was your radius. So with this, due to symmetry, what will happen? It will intersect on j omega axis. This is my one intersection and this is my second intersection. Okay, so wherever it will intersect on j omega axis, this is nothing but my maximum frequency omega m, or this is also called as the resonant frequency. Okay, so this kind of thing is called as basically picking circle. So let me explain you, or let me repeat it. So you plot first the pole locations, take it alpha as center, beta as radius, and draw the circle. And due to symmetry, what will happen? Intersect on the imaginary axis, and wherever it will intersect on imaginary axis, this frequency on j omega axis is nothing but your maximum frequency. Okay, so if it is intersecting on j omega axis, then there will be the existence of maximum frequency. Now what if the alpha is equal to beta? So in this situation, how will be my pole 0 plot? So this is something like this. Okay, and now when alpha is equal to beta, okay, now same, take it alpha as a center, beta as a radius, and you draw the circle. So if you draw the circle, it will not intersect on imaginary axis, but it will pass through the origin. Okay, and what it, this will be my omega m, which is omega m is equal to 0. Okay, so this way also you can interpret graphically. Okay, so when alpha is equal to beta, there is no intersection on imaginary axis sigma and j omega. Okay, so it means there is no omega m is 0 here. And what if sigma and j omega, let me do third situation, what if alpha is greater than beta, like this. Okay, so now if I'll take it this as a center, beta as a radius, and if I'll draw it, I will not get any intersection on j omega axis, so there is no existence of maximum frequency. It means there is no picking. Okay, so this is also the way of visualization of the picking or the response of single tuned circuit. Okay, The next terminology, let me define, that is called figure of merit. This also we have seen. So how to define figure of merit, which is Q, which is omega n into L by R, which is again this way also we can define it, which is the reactive power divided by average power. Okay, for RLC we used to define it. Okay, the Q we have obtained is equal to 1 over 2 zeta, which is also I can write as 1 over 2 cos theta. So if I want to define the figure of merit for this, so we can say that when poles will be near to j omega axis. Okay, so when poles will be near to j omega axis, then what will happen with Q? Q will be high. Okay, right. And when zeta is equal to 0, when zeta is equal to 0, then what will happen? Q will become infinite. Yeah. Okay, and if poles will be far away from the j omega axis, then what will happen? Zeta is greater than 1 by root or something. So at that time what will happen? Q indicates that then Q will be small. Okay, here Q will be high, zeta is equal to 0, Q will be infinite, and here Q will be small. So what Q indicates? Q indicate that how sharp or narrow my band pass filter is. Okay, so using picking circle, now we will have to determine also next are the half power point frequencies. Okay, these are the figure of merit. That way you can check it out how good my band pass filter is. Now once I know this, next my aim by the use of this picking circle is to compute the half power point frequencies. Okay, now these two frequencies I have to compute it, and the half power point frequencies are what? Where the half power point frequencies are that where the amplitude response will be 70.7% of the maximum magnitude. Okay, means what? The magnitude at cutoff frequency or half power point will be equal to 0.707 of the maximum magnitude. Okay, so what I'll say, this is maximum of h of j omega. So this also we will see using the geometric, by the use of geometric construction. Okay, so before that, let me again analyze one more way. Suppose now so this, I'll draw this. Okay, so this angle is theta. Fine. So when theta is greater than 45 degree, then what about zeta? Okay. For example, suppose my poles are like this. One pole is here and one pole is here, that is complex conjugate pole. Okay, and we know that zeta is equal to cos theta. And when theta is equal to 45 degree, at that time alpha will be equal to beta. Okay, so when theta is equal to 45 degree, at that time what will happen? Your alpha will become equal to beta. Now if this pole will move towards this side, then what will happen with angle? Angle will be towards pi by 2, means what? Angle will greater than 45 degree. Okay, so theta will be greater than 45 degree. Okay, and if theta greater than 45 degree, what will happen? There will be the picking. Okay, so when poles will move this way, then picking will start. When poles will go here, then picking will go. Okay, so when poles are moving this way, means theta is greater than 45 degree, then there will be the picking. And when theta is less than 45 degree here, which is less than 45 degree, then there will be no picking. Okay, so when theta is less than 45 degree and zeta is greater than 1 by root 2, then what is this? There will not be any picking and I am not interested in it. But when theta is greater than 45 degree, okay, and zeta is less than 1 by root 2, then there will be the picking, and I am interested in this to find it out. that how the picking can be done, or how can we obtain next, that is the half power points. Because what we obtain now is to have the resonance, I got it maximum frequency, and if it is the case, then I should have the good band pass filter, and if it is a good band pass filter, I should know what are its half power point frequencies. Okay, so to calculate half power points, let us take it how to calculate. Suppose this is my nature, omega and magnitude of frequency response, which is like this. So where I will get it this kind of response when zeta will be greater than 1 by root 2 and theta will be equal to 45 degree, or theta is less than 45 degree. Okay. Now from here, if I would like to find out the half power point frequency, so what is it? This is my maximum M. Let me call M stands for maximum. You take it the point 707 of your M. You draw the line wherever it cuts on the response, that will be your half power point or your cutoff frequency. Okay, so half power point frequency will be 1 by root 2 of the maximum frequency, which I can call it as the cutoff frequency. Okay, so now let us look at the thing for zeta less than 1 by root 2 and theta is greater than 45 degree. And what is our network function? F of j omega is, suppose, omega n square over s square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square. So now assume that I got a maximum value of h of j omega where poles are complex conjugate, and also assume that beta is greater than alpha, also zeta is less than 1 by root 2 and theta is greater than 45 degree. And now with this, suppose I got it the maximum magnitude. Okay, I got it the maximum magnitude for this case, let us call f1, and this I observe that okay, maximum magnitude or maximum amplitude is less than root 2. For example, I got it this. So let me draw the frequency response here. Okay, for the band pass, so this is my magnitude of response f1 of j omega. So at omega is equal to 0, I will get it 1. As omega increases, I will get it some peak, and then it will reach to 0. Okay, so here I will get it 1 peak. Okay, and suppose assume that this maximum magnitude is less than root 2. Okay, so if it is less than root 2, now let me calculate the half power point frequencies. Okay, so now how to calculate the half power point frequencies? We know you take it the 1 by root 2 of the maximum magnitude which was less than root 2. So what will happen with the magnitude? So here this magnitude 1 upon root 2 of the maximum which was less than 1 root 2, obviously this will be this this 0.707 of this maximum M, let me call this as M, which will be obviously less than 1. Okay, and now let me draw the line on response, and wherever it cuts on the response, that will be my half power point frequencies or cutoff frequencies. So here I'll get it this, and let me call this is my omega c2, and I'll not get the frequency here, okay, because it is not cutting on omega c, because for band pass generally what should be, I will draw this, I should get two half power points, omega 1 and omega 2, but here if the maximum magnitude is less than 1 by root 2, then what will happen, I will get it only one half power point, which is omega c2, and this is my omega m. Okay, fine. So thus there will be only one half power point frequency, which is omega c2. So if the filter is like this, then what I have to obtain, I have to obtain omega m and omega c2, it is enough. Now what is next situation? The next situation is, suppose my maximum magnitude is greater than 1 by root 2. This is my third situation. Okay, first situation we have seen when alpha was equal to beta. The second situation was zeta is less than 1 by root 2, theta is greater than 45 degree, and maximum magnitude is less than root 2. Now here third situation is that maximum magnitude is greater than root 2, suppose. Okay, so at omega is equal to 0, I'll get it 1. As omega varies, there will be picking. Okay, so there will be picking like this. Okay, and suppose this maximum magnitude is greater than root 2. Now I will take it, this is my maximum frequency omega m. Okay, and now this is 1, and now I'll take it the 1 by root 2 of the maximum, which is m. Okay, so what will happen there? This will be obviously greater than 1. So now this will be the cut of 1 by root 2 of m. So here it is cutting on two frequencies, so this will be your 1 and this will be your second frequency. So I'll get it two half power point frequencies, which is one omega c1 and second is omega c2. Okay, so I'll get it two half power points, omega c1 and omega c2. So now our aim will be what? Our aim will be now to obtain omega c1 as well omega c2. Okay, so this can be done using analytical approach. Use the simple formulas you can compute, or this also we can see using the geometry construction as follows. Okay, so for that, let us see the geometry construction for it. So again, let me start from the S plane. Okay, this is basically sigma, this is j omega minus sigma and minus j omega. Okay, now suppose these are my pole locations here and same way here. Okay, and suppose I'll take it this one interested frequency where I would like to compute the magnitude. So for that, generally what is our process? Let us draw the line on it. This also we can extend it for the next purpose, and then some triangle it may form. Okay, so these are my pole locations, and from that I did some geometry so that I got it this angle. Say any name you give it, say ABC. Okay, and what is this part? Basically this is your alpha, and this is j omega, j beta. Okay, now what is the area of this triangle? So triangle ABC, let me find out what is the area of it. So area of shaded triangle will be half into height is alpha into base is beta, so it will be base is now this into this, so it will be 2 times beta. Okay, so triangle of ABC 2 into alpha into 2 times beta, so triangle of ABC is alpha into beta. Now what next? I would like to express this triangle of ABC in terms of m1 and m2. Okay, so suppose this is my m1 and this is my m2. Let me express this. So to obtain it, let me extend this m2 line here. Okay, let me draw the perpendicular here, so this will become 90 degree. Okay, suppose this angle is my psi angle, so what about this angle? This angle will be pi minus psi. Okay, so if this is 90 degree, this is basically, this is not 90 degree, it looks like, but it is not 90. Assume that this is 90 degree, then this is pi minus alpha. Okay, this is my m1 magnitude. Fine, now I would like to know what is the again shaded area of shaded triangle. So for that, what can be done? sine of pi minus alpha. The sine of pi minus alpha means this is suppose x, so I can write sine of pi minus psi will be this x over m1 will be your hypotenuse. Okay, so once I know x, I will be able to find out again the triangle expressed in terms of m1 m2. Okay, so which will be m1 into sine of pi minus psi, and sine of pi minus psi is basically sine psi only, so x will be m1 into sine psi. Okay, and then what will be the area of triangle? Area of triangle will be this base, which is now m2, from here to here. Okay, and this is height. Okay, so that I'll get it in terms of m1 m2. This is basically my image. Okay, so again area of triangle ABC will be 1 by 2 into base is m2 into x. X has been calculated as m1, magnitude of m1 into sine phi. This I can write that way. Okay, so this will be now half m1 m2 into sine psi. And what is my h of j omega? H of j omega is omega n square over 2 roots s minus p1 into s minus p1 conjugate pair, which I can express as k divided by magnitude of m1 into magnitude of m2. Okay, now I will equate this equation with alpha and beta, so that I can write half m1 m2 into sine psi, which is equal to alpha beta. Okay, and from that I can write in terms of m1 m2, so m1 m2 will be alpha by beta. From here I can write m1 m2 will be equal to 2 times alpha beta over sine psi. Okay, and then let me put this in my magnitude of h of j omega. Okay, so your magnitude of h of j omega will be k upon m1 m2, so k upon m1 m2 will be replaced by 2 alpha beta into sine psi, right? Okay, and this will be your constant k upon 2 into alpha beta, so this will be k upon 2 into alpha beta into sine psi. Fine. So here what we can say that as omega varies, this omega varies, what correspondingly psi will vary, so it will also vary, and with this what will happen, I will get the maximum magnitude, that is h of j omega. Okay, and when I will get the maximum magnitude, when this is maximum, so when this is maximum, when psi is your pi by 2. Okay, right, so when psi is equal to pi by 2, then I will get the maximum magnitude, so h of j omega is equal to what is that, k upon 2 into real part of pole into imaginary part of pole. So this way also we can find out the maximum magnitude. Okay, so in order to get the maximum value at omega m, your psi angle between the vectors drawn from pole has to be equal to pi by 2. Okay, again I am repeating, to get the maximum value at omega m, so psi angle, which is the angle between the vectors, suppose this is the thing, vectors drawn from poles. Okay, so angle between this has to be pi by 2. Okay, and frequency can be obtained by drawing the picking circle. Okay, so next, once I know this, I have to find out half power point omega c1 and omega c2. So for that, what I am supposed to do, I have to obtain the maximum magnitude at k sine phi. Okay, and which will be h of j omega will be equal to k sine psi, for example. Okay, so this is my maximum magnitude when it will be some angle, that is pi by 2. Okay, some maximum magnitude I will get it, and to compute the half power point, what I have to do, I have supposed to multiply it by 1 by root 2 of this. Okay, and what will I should I get it, then this has to be some k1, let's say k1, this k1 is this part. Okay, k1 into I should get it 1 by root 2. So at which value of phi I'll get it 1 by root 2? When phi is pi by 4, then I will get 1 by root 2. Okay. So to get it the half power point, what should be the angle? What should be the angle? The angle has to be pi by 4. So let us construct it geometrically. Okay. So let us take the procedure to construct this in order to find out the half power point. So for that, let us start from the complex conjugate pair of poles. So suppose like this, one pole is here and its pair will be on the other part of it, where here, okay, this is minus j beta and this is plus j beta, this is minus alpha. Now take it alpha as center, beta is radius, and draw the picking circle, something like this. Okay. Now what will happen? I'll get it the vectors from here, this point and this point also. So this is one vector I'll join. So what will happen with the angle? We told this has to be pi by 2. Okay, this is one pole and this is one. So wherever it cuts, that will be your maximum frequency omega m. So this is the process to find out omega m. Now to find out cutoff frequency, what is to be done? You take it, this let me call A, B, C. This is suppose A, this is B, and say this is my C. Okay, you take it AB or AC as radius. Okay, AB or AC, because both are same, AB or AC as radius and A as a center, and draw the one more circle. Okay, what I told, you take it AB as radius, A as center, and draw the one more circle. So what will happen? The circle will be something like this. So circle will be something like this. Okay, where A is the center. Okay, and this AB is your radius. Okay, so this is basically half power point circle. So here what can be observed? Chord BC subtend an angle phi on the circumference, and that angle is pi by 2. Okay, so this BC subtend an angle on the circumference and angle pi by 2, and at the center, pi by 2 at the center, this at the center. Okay, if this is the center, therefore what will happen with this angle? This angle will be pi by 4. Okay, and basically wherever it cuts on the j omega axis, that is your cutoff frequency and or half power point frequency. But it will be what? It will be not first cutoff frequency, but it will be omega c2, because here in band pass filter, what is it? This is my omega, and after omega what I should get it? I should get it omega c2. Okay, so this after omega m I got it omega c2. That's why this is the half power point, that is second half power point, which is omega c2. And till now we don't know how to compute omega c1, and for that computation of omega c1, basically what we have to do, we have to take it the equation, that is we have to calculate omega c1 by the use of algebraic mean symmetric or algebraic symmetry, because this is your symmetric based on the algebraic mean. Okay, so for that you can calculate omega m square will be equal to algebraic sum omega c1 square plus omega c2 square over 2, and from that you can calculate omega c1 square, okay, which will be 2 omega m square minus omega c2 square. Okay, so this way you can calculate or you can obtain the design of, or you can obtain the resonant frequency, and also you can calculate the half power points, that is cutoff frequency omega c1 and omega c2. Okay, so this way for magnitude response. Now if I would like to calculate for the phase response for the second order, so this is phase response will be h of s, which is omega n square divided by s square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square. So if I'll substitute omega n square here, it will be minus omega square plus 2 zeta omega m j omega plus omega n square. So you will get it two poles, so s plus p1 and s plus p1 conjugate. Okay, so what is the angle contribution? Suppose I have complex conjugate pair at omega is equal to 0, I would like to calculate the angle. So this is the angle made from this pole, and this is the angle contributed by second. So okay, this is theta 1 and theta 2. So what is the contribution? Contribution is 0 here. Okay, and at omega is equal to infinity, what will happen? This will be 90 degree, this will be 90 degree. So how much is total? It is minus 180 degree. Okay, so how is the phase response? Phase response at omega is equal to 0, start from 0, and at omega is equal to infinity, it will go to minus 180 degree. Okay, and somewhere at omega 1, it will close to pi by 2. Okay, so it will be something start from 0, it will be minus pi by 2, and then go to minus pi. This is 0, and this is my angle of h or f I used. So this is f of s, or angle of f of j omega with this omega. Okay, so this way you can calculate the resonant frequency, and second is the power point frequency omega c2. And once I know this, you can use the algebraic symmetry property, as it is the algebraic symmetry as band pass filter. Okay, and then you can calculate omega c1. Okay, so this way, with the help of the geometric construction also, you can obtain it. Obviously you can do using analytical approach also. With this we stop here. Next class we will continue.